Hi everyone, this is Gina Tabrizy, MFT from Ask Gina, and one of the co-founders and co-owners of Harmony Heals Detox and Rehab. Thanks for joining in. This is super cool. I'm getting used to this new go live on Facebook. I know it's been around for a bit. I've been doing lots of public speaking and teaching and educating, and I guess it's to the point where people are wanting to hear a little bit more, interested, which I love. I think that's awesome. My goal is just to inspire and to educate for the person who's just listening in at home. You know, it's really hard to get yourself to go ask for professional help. I think with therapy, I'm going to put on my glasses because I see people writing little things and I can't see. That's what happens when you get older. You lose your hair, your eyesight, things go sideways. But anyways, it's really hard for people to ask for help and to reach out. And so I thought this is a simple way to kind of give some advice, give some suggestions. And my goal would be that if, you know, we can't connect and we can't help you in any way, that we can get referrals or encourage you to get help in your area. This is all about collaborating, is helping people to get to know what resources are out there and for you to know that you're not alone. I think that's one of the most painful things that we all struggle with, is just a sense of loneliness, especially when things in your life aren't really going right or you're suffering. I work a lot with addicts and alcoholics and depression and anxiety. I'm a survivor of depression. I'm a survivor of cancer now. I'm a survivor of life and loss and struggles. And addiction is very near and dear to my heart. I've had family members afflicted and friends, colleagues and co-workers. I've lost people to suicide. There's a lot of human tragedy that I've seen and I've experienced. And I've had to find a way to instill hope within myself and to encourage others to keep going when you really don't want to keep going. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. So the reason I mentioned codependency and had codependency as a topic is because caregivers and people who care for their loved ones who are addicts or alcoholics, who have issues, or maybe you're in a volatile relationship or a domestic violence relationship. Maybe you're in relationship with someone who just doesn't appreciate you. Maybe it's your kids. So caregiving to our children is so honorable and such a wonderful thing to do. And yet oftentimes we feel very devalued in that role. Like, nobody cares, nobody's paying attention to what I need and what I want. And we forget to take care of what we need and what we want for ourselves when we're so used to being a caregiver. Codependency is about identifying yourself as, I'm only good if I'm being needed by someone. I get my value from others for doing for them, for putting others first, for putting everybody's needs ahead of my own. But at the end of the day, the codependent caregiver feels empty, like they're not fulfilled, like they're not appreciated, like they're not valued, like they're not held and loved and nurtured in the same way that they're loving and nurturing the people around them. The codependent is the lover or friend or partner or parent in relationship to with an addict or an alcoholic. The codependency means partner independence to someone who's dependent on a drug or alcohol. But through the years, what we've come to know and learn is that codependency is its own set of values. It's how we were raised and what we were taught. If you grew up, and Mom, if you're listening, I heard some of these messages with great intent, but if someone hurt me or hurt my feelings, I heard turn the other cheek. It's okay. Be the bigger person. Don't worry about it. They didn't mean it. Now that's very confusing for a child growing up. Hearing these messages, what you get is, oh, okay, I guess their feelings are more important than my feelings because I just got hurt and I'm being told that's not a big deal, like get over it or don't worry about it, or again, be the bigger person is a message that we often get. Codependency is about hearing and getting those messages and values growing up from your childhood, developmentally through your whole life. You heard messages about putting yourself second or third. or fourth, in line behind siblings, behind parents, behind relatives, behind your parents' friends that you didn't even know, that you often felt this sense of loneliness because everyone else seemed more important than you and your needs. I listen to clients all the time talk about growing up in a home where their parents were so busy doing and creating and making for them that they weren't present. They didn't really spend time with them, but they'll say things like, yeah, but they took care of me. We had a house and we had food and, you know, we had what we needed and we had clothes. But when I needed emotional support, nobody was really there. When I was hurting, when my friends abandoned me or someone made fun of me, when I lost a loved one or a boyfriend or something that was really significant to me, when I didn't make it on the basketball team or I didn't get into the college that I wanted, they weren't there. They weren't there to hold my hand, embrace me, to love me, and to nurture me. There's a lack of or a loss of love and care that happens in codependency, where the codependent then thinks, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make sure that people love me. I'm going to be the best friend. I'm going to be the best mom. I'm going to be the best cook. I'm going to be the best for everybody and always show up and always give myself to everyone so that they'll validate me, so that they'll tell me that I'm needed and I'm important and I'm special. Well, truth be told, at the end of the day, you're exhausted. You should be valued just for who you are. Just because you breathe, just because you're a friend, just because you're a mother or whatever, a coworker, a therapist, you should be valued because you are just human. You don't have to always be doing or producing something to gain value from others. And unfortunately, we live in a society where it mimics that too, is like, I have to produce something and that makes me important and that makes me special and cared for. I'm looking at comments while we're doing this, so I love Holy Addiction and Joanne. Thank you all for sitting in and watching. If you have a question, let me know. I'll put my glasses back on so I can read them for you. I love that you're watching this. Growing up with codependency means everyone else's needs are more important than mine, and my feelings don't matter. And if I grow up in a home with an alcoholic parent, an absent parent, maybe a single parent who had to work 2 or 3 jobs and that's what they had to do to care for you, but your emotional needs were not met. Anytime your emotional needs are not met, you feel a sense of abandonment. You feel a sense of trauma. Something happened to me that made me feel less valuable than other people in the world. My parents didn't walk me to school, or my parents didn't show up when I needed them to, or my parents didn't tell me that they loved me all the time. You make comparisons between you and other friends and other families where kids were getting those needs, where people were attending to them and loving them and showing up for them, and then you make comparisons to yourself, and that makes you feel bad about yourself. I'm talking a lot about growing up and in your development, why that's so painful and why that affected you. And a lot of times, you know, trauma's been my life's work. I've been doing trauma therapy. I'm a trauma-informed therapist for 31 years. And what I want to tell you is that it's not about going back and living in your past and just saying, oh my God, I had this miserable childhood. I grew up with alcoholic, abusive parents. I was sexually abused in my home. These are frightening things to grow up with and live with. And they alter the way that you become and develop as a young person. I was explaining to somebody today about how it absolutely impacts your life when you are sexually abused or someone is sexually inappropriate with you at an age where you are too young to even understand what's happening to you at 5, 6, 7, or 8. And codependency comes with a sense of shame. I'm seeing a lot of people watching and commenting, thank you so much. We've needed a strong woman doing lives for a long time. I love you for saying that, and I'll try to be that. I think that's who I am. I think I have strength in me, and I want to share that and honor that in you. When you grow up with sexual abuse or an alcoholic home or an abusive home, verbal abuse, neglect, abandonment, even ignorance, even ignoring you and leaving you alone because you have these 2 amazing parents that are doctors or lawyers or they're very, very well educated and they're out there and they're making this huge living, but they have no time for you. That's a form of neglect. I treat lots and lots of addicts and alcoholics in a very affluent area in Orange County, which is a very affluent area where their parents are missing, they're absent. Their parents traveling to Europe and leaving kids home with nannies or sometimes unsupervised just with credit cards and money. And then these kids in their adolescence start experimenting with drugs or alcohol and they get lost. They get completely lost. But before that disease of addiction takes over, they have the disease of codependency. They want to be liked. So that young male or female goes out trying to find friends and makes friends, uses their money and influence to draw people to them and encourages them to come, live, be in their home, gives them drugs, alcohols, whatever, as a codependent, trying to gain favor, trying to get people to like them. And then they get pulled into that lifestyle. And if they have that addictive gene and they're predisposed, now on top of the codependency, now they have an addiction, drug or alcohol addiction to boot. The codependency says, I need you to tell me that I'm a good person. I need you to value me. I need you to look at me and tell me that I matter and that I'm important. And you will see this in relationship. It's not just females. Men will do it too. But men, I'm going to answer that. How do you heal from sexual abuse? What if the predator is still in your life as an adult? Huge question. But healing from addiction and trauma. When you are growing up in that environment and you are taught that and you are told that your value only matters when you reach out to others, of course you're going to go to substances to try to fill yourself up. You're going to go to something outside yourself to try to make yourself feel better. Whether you're an addict or alcoholic or not, if you're a codependent, you are constantly looking outside yourself for validation. I need you to like me so that I'll be okay. Today, at this point in my life, it doesn't matter to me. I'm educating, I'm talking, I'm giving you what I have, the wisdom and knowledge from the bottom of my heart. But I suffered for years and years and years feeling like if I was in a room with, 20 people and 19 people liked me, that one person that didn't like me, I would suffer. It would break my heart. And I would do everything in my power to chase after that person and try to get him to like me and confuse myself as to why don't they like me? And truth be told, they didn't like me. And it's okay. Not everybody has to like you in this lifetime for you to be okay. You have to find that within yourself. You have to identify what's likable about you. You have to stop buying into the stories that other people told you that you weren't good enough. When you were growing up and you were told you're stupid, you're not going to amount to anything, you don't matter, I don't have time for you, you're not important, you're always doing something wrong, you're always upsetting me, you're such a naughty kid, you're such a loud kid, you're such a weird kid. If you heard all of those messages in your life and you took them in, that's BS. That is a story someone else created because of their own insecurity, because you weren't measuring up to be the person they needed so that they could feel better about themselves. You need to be the better you. You can never be the person that everybody else expects you to be or wants you to be. You will never meet other people's expectations, but you can live for you so that you can be a better person in your life and love yourself no matter what other people say or do. I get really passionate about this because that was such a huge struggle in my whole life is, oh my God, why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? I don't care anymore. You're not here for the world to like you. You're here for you to be the best you could possibly be, and you are irreplaceable. So no one can do you better than you. So don't let other people tell you, well, you should really go to school for this, or you shouldn't do that job, or you shouldn't go to see that therapist anymore because she's putting these crazy ideas in your head. Seeking therapy is one way we're talking about to answer the person's question about sexual abuse. Is seeking therapy is a very brave thing to do. I'm a therapist. This is an experience with a therapist. They're human beings who have a passion, I hope, maybe. I hope they all do. I know I do. Is human beings have a passion for loving and caring and helping guide someone to get through things that are traumatic. There's types of therapy that specifically target and deal with abuse. EMDR being one of them. If you've never heard about it, my God, look into it. Now I'm getting all kinds of questions I want to try to answer for you guys while I'm talking for you. What if the person who sexually abused you is still in your life? Listen, I don't know what age you are, but if you are now an adult, that person has no right to be in your life, period. That's a privilege and an honor to be in your life. And truth be told, if you've never told the story and you've never confronted him or her and you've never told your family members, you're pretending and acting as if everything's okay. So every time you're in that family circle, you're feeling the shame of the abuse, not the perpetrator. They've never had to deal with it or confront it. And you have options. You as an adult now have probably worked through it and you've decided maybe to forgive that person. Maybe after all the years, you no longer hold the resentment and you're willing to let it go. That's a wonderful thing. That's a very noble thing, but you don't have to. What if it's your father? That's not uncommon. 1 out of every 5 boys and 1 out of every 3 girls are molested, and a majority of that happens in the home, is incestuous. I don't have the stats, but I'll look them up and I'll get them for you. But it often happens in the home or from a loved one. At some point, you honor that little boy or that little girl inside, and you can say to that person, if you're terrified to speak to them, then write them a letter. But you can say to them, you've never acknowledged this. You can deny it. You don't remember it. But when I was a child, you violated me, and that changed me forever. It changed how I felt about myself. It changed how I felt as a sexual human being. It maybe even changed my orientation, which is very common too. So you took something from me and it wasn't okay. And I've had to live with that secret and that sickness my whole life, but it's not mine to carry. It's yours. It's your burden to carry. These are things that you can do with the emotional support of a therapist, a pastor, even a loved one or a mentor at your church or your school or your college professor, someone that you're connected to that you can tell the story. You alleviate the shame of sexual abuse when you can talk about it. How can I get my son in this detox program, Sandy? Well, if someone is watching me now, if you go on, there's an 800 number, Harmony Heals Detox and Rehab. My hubby's in the background, so he's going to say, because I never remember. 800 426 5943. If not, look up on our website, Harmony Heals Detox and Rehab. If we don't have the resources, are not able to, then we can always give you referrals and make sure that you get where you need to be, okay? He was using at the time and is now in recovery. He's a different person, but I cannot forget it. Absolutely. No more heroin? Absolutely. I get that you can't forget it because you're dealing with the emotions behind what happened to you. 800-426-5943. Thank you. Somebody posted it. Listen. You have the right to heal from the shame of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse creates codependency, and it oftentimes creates and exacerbates addiction, because oftentimes in addiction what we're hiding is emotional pain and shame. We're trying not to relive the past. We're trying not to remember things that abuse our soul, that rob us and violate us. We're trying to stuff those things down. Addiction is all about numbing, so that's what happens there. Most likely the person that perpetrated you probably was perpetrated and was repeating a pattern, and in their own addiction, probably worse. Maybe worse things happen, and maybe worse things they did violated them. Understand this, what they did wasn't about you. There was nothing you did that made someone violate you in any way. That comes from them, their sickness, their illness, and their own abuse that they need to deal with. But you have every right to always confront that person and say, I've carried this my whole life and I can't let it go. And I love that you're a person in recovery today, and I'm trying to have the relationship with my father today, but I need to heal the father that I had who violated me. I need to heal from that father. Sometimes they'll acknowledge you, sometimes they won't. You do this for you. When you address molestation with someone, you do it for you. If you do it with the expectation that they're going to make it amends, you might be very disappointed. Oftentimes they can, but oftentimes they're incapable. But by letting go and acknowledging and saying, I know this happened and I'm not going to pretend that it didn't, there's a lot of freedom that you're going to feel in your heart, and that will liberate some of that pain from you, okay? Materials on codependency. God help me, I'll start finding resources. There's Codependent No More. Pia Melody, there's wonderful books. She's one of my mentors. I love her. I quote her all the time. Facing Codependency, but Codependent No More is like my Bible. I give it to all my clients, and it's like my Bible. Thank you so much. Please keep doing. Thank you for listening. Keep doing lives. How can we control our emotions, past experience, to remove past memories that recalled again and again? It is like for a hug with a man with no arms. Okay, Codependent No More. Okay, some of these I don't understand, but I'm listening, and maybe send it to me again in a way that I can and get it. How can we control our emotions? Listen, we started this talk about codependency, so wherever you jumped in on this, we turned it more of a dialogue about sexual abuse, but sexual abuse often leads to codependent behavior. Codependents are known and notorious for stuffing down their feelings and their emotions. Addicts and alcoholics do the same thing. It's a sense that my emotions don't hold value, so why should I express them? They're not important. They don't matter. People don't listen to them. It's not about controlling your emotions. It's about marrying your emotions, having a relationship between your head and your heart. It's the greatest distance that you have to travel. Our society teaches us, and the American culture in particular, to stay in our heads, keep thinking. Anytime we have a hurt, a pain, a sorrow, there is a pill for it. There is something to stuff it. There is something to shove it down. Your emotions are a beautiful part of you being human. If your emotions take you to a very negative place, like you're rageful and you hurt people, then no, that's not okay. But you need to learn from that. There's a deeper wound. There's a hurt or an injury that happened to you, and you're acting it out in this very loud and aggressive way. I tell my clients all the time, if you don't cry for you, who's going to? And also, your tears are healing. They've actually studied it scientifically. What's in your tears that comes out is actually healing. Plus, it liberates you. It frees you. It releases you from the burden that you're carrying inside of you emotionally. We're getting this so wrong about trying to get people to contain and hold, express, and feel as part of being human. It's what separates us from most animals. So don't be afraid to feel what you're feeling. You can find a way to express it in a loving way. The first time I ever got angry, because I was taught, be a good girl, stay quiet, don't raise your voice. That makes you look ugly if you're angry. It was very hard for me to learn to express anger, but when I did, it came out sideways. It was loud and it was rude, and I'm sure I offended and hurt people. I had to learn to pull that back in and own my anger and just communicate it. We have such a fear of communicating honestly with people. One of the things that we do is we lie a lot. We have a false persona that goes to work, that goes to family, always goes to the family meetings or gathering or Thanksgiving, and you put on your persona. And we have such a fear of going, hey, that hurt my feelings when you said that. Or, hey, auntie, when you did that, I didn't like that. Or, hey, sister, you know what? It really bothers me when you talk negatively about my boyfriend. We have this fear of just communicating what's happening right now in front of us. It's okay to speak your truth. You can do it and still be a loving human being. Those are the tools for healing codependency. What I'm telling you right now is how you heal from codependency. It's using your voice. It's speaking up, and it's saying no. No is the hardest word and sentence that we ever need to learn, is to say no. Codependents say yes and yes and yes and yes till they make themselves sick to their stomach. And one of my friends is watching here, Mary, and you know what I'm talking about, is no, I can't. You can do this yourself. No, I'm tired. No, I need a break. Instead of, okay, I'll do it until we drive ourselves crazy and make ourselves sick by being so available to everybody else. Somebody's telling me, please do lots more. I love you. Thank you. I will. It's so hard to access care. It is. And I'm furious about all of what's going on in access of care for people. And when I didn't have it, I didn't have health insurance. I was making $8 an hour. I used to pay my therapist $100 an hour. You know why? I had to learn that I have more value than anything else in my life. I can go to McDonald's. I don't do it anymore. I'm vegan now. I don't have a lot of food choices, but I can go and eat at Burger King, but I can save that money and go see my therapist because I wanted to heal. I wanted to stop suffering, and I needed that guidance and that care to do it. And you are entitled to do that as well. And there's therapies out there that are free. Most university campuses have intern students who you can see for free. And most therapists will do some kind of sliding scale too. And if they don't, they'll send you to resources that will. Don't let that limit you to not get the help you want. How can I forgive myself for drinking my children's complete lives now that I'm sober? Bless you, Pamela. Bless you, girl. You're sober today. God bless you. That's a miracle. You are now in the percentage of people that are rare, because the percentage of people winning the fight against addiction is real slim. So you're in that big percentage, and you're in the percentage of a miracle right now. You can't change what happened to your kids, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for you and them. You cannot change that, but you live now. You lead by example now. Every time they need you now, you set those guidelines and those boundaries, and you over and over again, you make those living amends. I cannot change what happened then. If I could, I would. It wasn't okay. You deserve better. Please learn from my example. I'll be what you need me now, but I can't replace what I was then, and I hope you'll forgive me. And you work on forgiving that little girl inside of you who had her own family drama and her own family dysfunction that led her into drinking and took her from a very young age and had a very sad life herself. You know that, right? So you work on forgiving the little girl inside of you. That's the most important thing. I love Abdul Wahid is saying hello. Ahish, your name went off, so I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I'm trying to. Pamela, you're so welcome. I'm trying to connect with you guys. You know, you're real people, and you know what? I'm a real person too. I'm sitting in my house right now. My little dog, crazy dog, is running around at my feet. My husband's sitting here breathing on the other side. He's so tired of listening to me talk, believe me. Anyways, so I guess one of the most important things that I want to leave you with, never watched out like this in my life, was on my way to bed. Can't turn it off. You speak so much truth. Well done, hon. Made me think about a few issues. Eliza, thank you. This is why I'm doing it. I have wonderful people in my life today and support, my loved ones, my husband, my children, but I have my friends at work and my colleagues who really push me to do this. I believe that there is a power greater than myself. God, the universe, whatever you imagine it to be. I believe that we're all here for a divine reason and purpose. And I believe right now, this is the purpose that I'm supposed to be living. I was sitting in my office for 31 years. I've been a therapist, sitting in my office going, I want to give this message out to more people. Not everyone can come in and pay a therapist, and my fees are ridiculous. And they are because I've worked really, really hard to get here at 31 years and to ask for that kind of money. When I was a codependent, I was like, oh my God, you want to pay me to talk to me? Like, it was so hard for me to ask for money for my service and a value. So I've gotten to the point now where I've learned to do that. I'm okay. I'm comfortable in my life. I want to give it back. I want other people to get and to understand you can relate to a therapist like this, or a friend, or someone in your family. Give them an opportunity to get closer to you. Codependents hide what they feel. They don't reveal their real selves. Hi, John. I'm spiritual too, brother. And stay open to that. Stay open to showing people who you really are. And what another message I want to leave you with, trust your intuition. As a codependent, as a recovering addict or alcoholic, I'm a recovering codependent. I'm recovering from depression, and I'm recovering from cancer. I can tell you, I have to listen and hear all the time. I don't have all the answers. But something intuitive and divinely guides me all the time if I tune in. For many years, I struggled and I squashed that voice because other people were telling me how to be, who to be, how to dress, how to wear my hair, which is now a crazy red and I'm a brunette. But anyways, I had to learn to listen to my own intuitive self. I call it emotional intuition. And I'm hopefully going to write a book someday about it. And I'm hopefully going to advance a therapy about it. If you can listen to your own self, your own divine intuition, you always know when you're getting it wrong. And you always know when you're getting it right. If you want to heal from codependency, start to listen to that divine voice inside of you that's guiding you that goes, this is not the right guy for me, girl. And I'm in the wrong relationship. I'm in the wrong job. I'm in the wrong, I'm in the wrong lane on the freeway and I need to turn around. So I want you to understand that healing is possible. It is possible for anyone. You just have to be willing and want to do that. Don't think you're alone. Don't think when you're at your saddest, darkest points that you are alone. I'm a human on the other side, maybe of the world from you or down the street, but I've felt those feelings, and I know hundreds of people like us have felt those dark moments. And in those dark moments, there's something greater that draws us through and pulls us through that and gets us to that next step, because we're all here for a reason and for a purpose. Thank you, Eliza. I hope you write the book, as I always feel like I'm getting it wrong. Lost my mom 7 years ago, never got over it. Everyone thinks I should be over it. Girl, don't let them tell you I lost my dad last year. I am always going to feel sad when I think about him. He was my person. I'm fine because I'm talking to you right now. 2 hours from now, I could be crying about it. Your grief is yours. You grieve in your time and in the way that you need to. And in other countries, we don't tell people that they're taking too long. In other countries, they can grieve and grieve and grieve. They go out into the desert and grieve. They hide themselves in their home for days on end, and they appropriately grieve their loved ones. Your grief is the measure of how much you love someone. And I always say, the more you've cried, and every tear you cry is a remembrance of honoring someone that you've lost. Again, people telling you how and when to cry and how long is this codependent stuff. And then we get in fear and we listen to other people instead of listening to ourselves and what we need to do. There's one more question here, and soon I'm going to cut it off. My husband's waving at me so we can go have dinner. How you can heal yourself, basic tips we can do at our own home. Girl, that's a whole other talk. So, Parul, I'm going to try to write that down. Thank you. You're awesome. To Patricia. Carol, yes, I love it. I love all the validation. I'm thanking God there's no haters on here. This is only my second time doing this, but I love you haters too. Haters gotta hate. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we shouldn't fight each other about difference in opinion. We should try to listen and understand and build a gap and build that bridge. How you can heal yourself and basic tips. I can tell you when I get up every morning, I have to meditate or pray. Every day I have to talk to myself, self-talk and affirmations. There's lots of great books about positive affirmations. When I'm feeling down, I don't listen to the news or watch it. It's so hideous and traumatic to watch. I listen to positive, uplifting music or affirmations. I exercise every day. That is church for me. Like, I don't miss it. If you're an addict and alcoholic, I pray you're going to meetings of support of any type that works for you. But the 12 steps is amazing. It is the most amazing support system that's available for you to guide you. It's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. We can't do this alone, so there are some little tips for you of things that you can do. Join a church group, a Bible study, a book club, go to basket weaving class at your community center, get out to your local library, museums, whatever. Find groups that you can connect with, and always keep yourself socially engaged with other people, because that's who you're going to learn to lean on. When you can't lean on your family, and you've come from a dysfunctional family, or your family has hit a level that is so dysfunctional you can no longer be a part of their world, then you need to find other people in your life that you choose to partner with that will partner with you. I think you should write a book. Christy, thank you. I'm going to put it in my vision board. So about 6 months ago, I put this in my vision board to become a public speaker, and it's happening. And who knew? I didn't know this was going to happen in this way. So I love it. Thank you. Music is extremely healing. I can't live without it. Everyone in my home is very musically inclined as well, and it's a great way to heal. If you have any thoughts or comments or suggestions for other topics, I am going to start doing this to start off twice a week. Thanks for you, Parul. And thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Christy and Carol and Kitty. Kitty, you're awesome. But please, I'll be on again on Thursday. We'll send a reminder. I'll try to do this weekly and see how we do. I come from an abused family, Christy. I feel for your heart, honey. I know that's how we all get here sometimes is suffering as children. We got to learn to love those little children inside of us. Be the parent to yourself that you always wanted. Learn to love and give to yourself the way that you always wanted and needed. No matter if your family isn't capable of doing it, you're not. Just because they didn't get it right doesn't mean you can't get it right. Muchas gracias, Carol, on point. I can speak Spanish, so I get that. Thank you all for watching and sharing your comments. At Harmony Heals, I'm going to put a little... It's backwards, right? It's Harmony Heals Detox, 800-426-5943. And you can ask Gina at harmonyheals.com. You can find me at Ask Gina. You can find me here at Harmony Heals Detox and Rehab. Thank you. Thank you, Julie, and my Gina, my sister Gina. Thank you, Carol. There's so many of you writing in now. I'm so grateful that you spent this time with me. And I hope that you'll come back. I will be live again on Thursday. God bless you all. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.